Good morning. This morning I just wanted to talk to you about important people that get put in our lives when we least expect it. So I'm going to talk to you about a friend of mine this morning. Her name is Miss Gwen. She was the counselor, group facilitator for the first IOP that I ever went to. So mind you, at the time this happened, this has been probably 10 or 11 years ago, maybe a little more. I still didn't have a very open mind. I didn't like black people. I didn't like gay people. I didn't like a lot of people, and I didn't really have any reason to not like them. I just didn't. It fit in with who I was. So I'm trying to draw you a picture of the first group that I went to for this IOP. I come walking in. I already didn't want to be there. I was still getting high. I'm wearing like camouflage shorts, Doc Martens, socks up to my knees, chains hanging off of me, shaved head, look pretty much the way I do. And there's this black lady in here running the group, and it's just like, I looked at her like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. It was not what I wanted to see when I walked into somewhere I'm already uncomfortable. So the way I remember it, and I might remember a little bit different than it happened, just because I've got a brain injury, so some things are a little off. But I'm fairly certain that she looked at me the same way I looked at her, and maybe I'm wrong. But I definitely was not happy when I walked in and saw her in there. And it took me a while to warm up to her. I think it probably took me a couple of weeks before I really even spoke to her. I would talk, but I wouldn't talk to her. I would look at the other people in the group, if I even talked. Now she's from Chicago, so she's definitely outspoken and she's got a character. And I think one of the things that actually ended up drawing me to her was she cussed more than anybody that I really had ever met, especially for a woman. And it was awesome because it was real. The other thing that I remember about her is every time I saw her, she was wearing a different hat. Like these big old ass hats. Like, I don't want to say gaudy, they just weren't my style. Not that I wear hats, but it was kind of funny though, because I don't think I can ever remember seeing the same hat twice. I mean, she must have a huge hat collection. But she was one of the most influential people I think I've ever met. She opened my mind to look at other things about people instead of like their color or their sexual orientation. She turned out to be pretty much an angel in my life. And I still hear her voice in my head a lot. We're still friends. She doesn't live here anymore where I'm at, but we still talk. We talk on Facebook a lot. We send messages, and I actually just talked to her yesterday because I asked her to listen to some of my videos, and if she liked them, if she would post them and help people to start maybe subscribing to my channel or just trying to hear what I got to say. And Miss Gwen turned out to be somebody that stood by me in times that I wouldn't have expected her to, just because of the way that I was and the vibe I brought off to her. But she was there. She was probably one of the first people that I openly cried to. She would be there to hold my hand, literally and figuratively, and to tell me it was okay. It was okay to feel that way. It was okay to be uncomfortable, and that we would get through it together by sitting there and talking. And when I kept relapsing, she was the one that I finally went to tell her that I wasn't clean, and that I was struggling with the program, and I felt like I was just being dishonest because I was. And I think a big part of me only went to the IOP to start with to appease people. If people thought I was clean, that gave me more room to manipulate them, my parents included, for money, for whatever, whatever it was that I needed at the time. But I remember Miss Gwen being the most sincere, compassionate, caring person that I think I'd ever met up to that point, and maybe even still. And she just genuinely cared about everybody that was in that group. So walking in from that first day and going, you gotta be fucking kidding me, to where I'm at now, and the ability that I have to change my perception about things, and knowing that change in perception is totally a choice and it's up to me. I'm the one that can choose to challenge my beliefs. Nobody else can. She taught me that I can challenge who I am and what I believe, and showed me how. Half the people I know now are gay. I don't care. The first client I ever worked with after I got out of school and started being a counselor was a black gay guy. Go figure. And I think I learned more from him than I have ever anybody. In fact, he's the one that told me in the gay community I'd be considered a grizzly bear. It's kind of cool. I didn't know that. In the past, that probably would have made me mad to have those kind of conversations, but instead I was almost flattered that there was a name for people that looked like me in that community. And maybe he was joking, I don't know. I think he was probably being honest, but Miss Gwen definitely gave me the ability, helped me find the ability inside myself to be a different person. And I love her to death. She's one of the people that I respect the most out of everything. She was one of the people that actually got me to consider doing what I do for work, because she made that big of an impact. Her and one other counselor I had named Ron, who has passed away. Ron Swenson. Super neat guy. And I'll tell you some stories about him too, because he's got some good ones that were pretty impactful to me too. But Miss Gwen, by the time I got done with my IOP the first time, I wouldn't leave the center because our groups were at nighttime. The IOP was at night, and they didn't end until like 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night. I wouldn't leave until she left. So when everybody else was gone, and sometimes even her husband would come in and empty the garbages or whatever, or I would do it, help her do it. But I wouldn't leave until I knew she was safe and in her car and out of the parking lot. That's how big of an impact she had on me in a matter of 9 weeks probably. I went from not wanting to have anything to say to her to wanting to make sure that she was safe when she left. And the only reasons I was able to do that is because of the compassion that she showed me. And she showed me the type of person that I could be. I'm sure I wasn't the ideal client. I'm sure that she probably really didn't want to work with somebody like me. Like if she had a choice, she probably would have rather be with somebody that at the beginning showed more potential than I did, especially towards her. But I never felt that from her. I'm just guessing, I'm assuming, I don't know. But I never once felt that from her, and that was rare. She was one of the rare people that showed me that God puts love in my life when I need it, when I need it the most, and that God will put somebody in my life every time I'm struggling if I really pay attention. Every major thing I've had happen in my life that was negative, God has put somebody back in my life to love me or to start loving me. So keep that in mind when you guys run into people along your trials and tribulations of life, recovery, whatever, that the people we meet are usually for a reason. Don't say or do things that you can't come back from. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to say the truth. But if we do it tactfully, we don't do it in a way where we ruin a relationship that might be extremely important to us down the road. So with that, I love you, Miss Gwen. I hope you're doing well. I hope you guys all have a great day.